Okay, first debate is in a few hours.
The race is based on IQ, and I believe it's because of genes for the most part, right?
You know, asking for some things, some pointers that I can use to just dissect his argument.
I don't think that kicking out 70% of a country's population would cause it to collapse.
Wish me well, chat. That was me before the debate. I was so confident I was going to destroy him in the debate. I even texted it to him. Like, we were really texting and stuff like that, too. Like, he's genuinely a cool dude. And I can't believe I'm saying that. Like, this person that wants me deported out the country because of the color of my skin is actually a cool dude. Like, he boxes and he's a band player. I'm like, what the frick? But this dude had completely destroyed me in the debate. If you want to see the full debate, it's in his kick with those timestamps. With that being said, let's start it up. Nolan, right?
Noah.
Noah, my fault.
You're good.
I'm so starstruck to be talking to you right now, dude. I'm not
I appreciate that. You know what? You've been very respectful.
Honestly,
I appreciate that.
yeah.
I think we can have a very civil conversation about, civic nationalism versus, I just call it nationalism, but I'm more specific so people aren't confused. I guess white nationalism. We can have a little little talk about that. So, lay it all on me. What is civic nationalism? And why is it good, and why should it be implemented?
This was the first of many traps he laid. You ask a series of questions first to get your opponent to clarify or defend their position before presenting your own argument. Knowing that he's debated many people before me, he's heard my claims before. I'm a beginner. This is my first debate. He knows that. He has the edge over me. So by him having me clarify my beliefs first, he's put himself in the right position.
Lay it all on me. What is civic nationalism, and why is it good, and why should it be implemented?
I believe that as long as we follow the rules and, we believe in the same things and we follow the same laws, that it doesn't matter what race you are, honestly. Anyone can work together.
So you're saying anyone can work to take down Israel, right?
Watching this while I edit the footage is actually weird. He was the first one to establish a trust path. He didn't want this to be a screaming debate. He wanted this to be a nice, calm debate, which is exactly why he established what we agreed on.
You're very Israel critical, and I am as well.
Oh man, yeah. Let's speak on some things that we agree on as well, dude. I see a lot in your videos that you agree with Israel and stuff like that, bro. I was so fucking nervous, bro.
I agree with Israel?
You disagree. No, I mean that you disagree with them.
I was about to say, if I agree with Israel, it's a troll. It's a troll. It's not real. Yeah, I guess I asked every civic nationalist this question. Let's just say in this hypothetical scenario, everyone in the country teams up and we take down our Israel-controlled government. And if we all do that, but we also realize a nation is a group of people, is that still America, even if everyone's getting replaced, even though we take down our elites?
Well, if we were to take out our elites and kick out a foreign entity, which is Israel... You see how I tried to repeat it back to him so he understood that I was listening? But whenever I'm debating, this is my first debate after all, I do this thing where I kind of zone out and words just get to flowing out of my mouth. Like, this is how I look in real time. Hold on. At this point, words are just flowing. Of course, I'm trying to articulate them in the right way, but I'm just not fully present. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that they share the same values as us. That's what I believe. I don't think that Israel shares the same values as us. They're Zionists.
Okay, wait, well, you dodged it a little bit. So,
I dodged it? How did I dodge it?
Because I asked you, if everyone in the country is replaced in the nation, right? If a nation is a group of people and the stock is replaced demographically, even though if we take down the elites, is that still America?
Well, if they're all demographically replaced, if they believe in the same things and follow the same laws, then yeah. I don't believe that a nation is based on by race, but instead by values.
I don't think we're going to go too far then, because we literally disagree on what a nation is.
Do you believe that America was founded in white nationalism? Now, I was trying my hardest to grip the debate back in my direction, which is why I asked the question. Like, if you notice, he's been asking most of the questions.
By white people for white people.
And where does it say it's for white people?
1790 Naturalization Act. I'm
looking at my fucking notes like, ChatGPT, have you betrayed me? You said that nowhere in the Constitution it said something specifically for white people. 1790. I knew you were going to point that one out. Okay. I was trying my hardest to grasp. And where does it say for white people? Because I know ChatGPT didn't just lie to a nigga. Well, I have a few of my own, that speak against it. This is when I finally pivoted to my notes. That if America was a country formed for white people, then it wouldn't have said, it states that all men are equal.
But what is the context of that?
In the Declaration of Independence.
No, but what Naturalization Act was imposed?
But not what?
During, not exactly when that was written, but what?
Bro, if y'all could have felt the way my stomach turned!
During, not exactly when that was written, but what Naturalization Act did they impose? Who did they allow to naturalize into the nation and assimilate?
You tell me.
Those were white people.
It was the white people. I think
Context
that,
is not talking about all men, literally, universally.
you don't think that they would have specified that?
Well, that's why I say context is important.
I tried to catch him right there, but he was ready. He's been ready for every single one of my reverse traps that I've tried to lay on him. He's heard all of these before. But this next one, it got him right.
Well, it says it's a uniform rule for granting citizenship, and it says limited naturalization strictly to free white persons or good character. And I feel like if the nation was strictly founded on that, then it would have continued in that direction. But with the Constitution and other things in that of that manner going into place, then slavery became abolished and black people became integrated. But even in the
Damn it! I talk too much. If I just talked less and asked questions more, maybe I would have been able to catch him right here.
in the founding of this nation, it was really mixed. You know, you had the Germans here, you had the slaves. You know, it wasn't just purely white people.
So your first point was, if it was a truly white nation, you feel like they would have specified that in the founding documents?
Yeah, but not only
Rashid, you're talking too much, bruh! Oh my god!
specified that, but would have stayed with it.
Okay, we're probably just gonna keep going on circles on that because I'm just gonna keep pointing towards that because like I think that just provides good context. So what was your second point?
And my second point was signed into law, persons of good character.
Dude, I was talking so much I had forgot my second point, bro.
Well, besides the fact of how do I say them of it not being able to continue to go in that direction. Sorry, bro.
Okay, so evolution happened, right? They had more and more naturalization acts that came in. I would just say this is a classic case of whataboutism. You know, what about the 1870? What about the 1952? You know, I would just say that's, you know, a case of whataboutism. It doesn't really disprove my original point, but for the sake of argument, I'll play into it. We just have to look at now what has created the best outcomes. A more homogenous society or more of a multicultural society? That's what we got to look at now. I advocate it because I believe it brings the best outcomes.
You know, like what do you define as white?
Oh, what do I define as white nationalism?
Yeah, what would you say?
I would just say the overwhelmingly strong white majority of a nation.
This is where the tide started to turn. I finally realized. Breathe, relax, and ask more questions.
Right, I say 95%.
And what would that look like for our country? Does that look like deporting 30 million people?
Yes, like lots of deportations will happen.
Yeah. Okay. And what do you think that would do to our economy?
I've heard your point on this. I've seen that, and it's not a terrible point. But it's not going to be, let's support 30 million people in 1 year. These would be waves, you know, it's going to be slow, it's going to be hard, and just because it's hard doesn't mean we can't do it, right?
Right.
Just so we don't have, like, economic crash. And I think it's also kind of a non-point because, I mean, the economy would crash either way without it. I think it's just going to crash either way. It's already declining. People are already scraping to get by. Right, it's already not good.
And what you're saying is that it's more of a, I guess, a multiculturalism thing instead of a Zionist parasite thing? Well, what I'm saying is that I believe that it's more on the Zionist. You know, we're more on us sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel every year than it might be a thing of diversity or multiple different races. Because I don't believe that races are the reason for our declining economy. I think it's the money-hungry monopolies. I think it's the corrupt Israel and Zionist.
Wait, are you asking me about the economy?
Yeah, because I mean, we just spoke on if we deported, 30 million people, if not more. Europeans or white people only being 30% of the country, you'd be deporting in slow waves. Even if it took 10, 20, 30 years, you would deport 70% of a country. Not only is that a lot of land, that's a lot of military, that's a lot of jobs, that's a lot of businesses.
I'm cooking him!
So even if you were to deport that many people, I mean, do you really think that would boost the economy in the right direction?
It could have a possible collapse, right? It could have a possible collapse. There's always downsides to literally everything. Argue vice versa. What is the benefits of multiculturalism? We can look at black and brown people. They take more from taxes. From government assistance more than they pay in taxes, right?
Do you have a study for that? That shows that black people take more from taxes than when they pay it?
Yeah, let me get it.
All links sent will be in the description.
So this verse is from apps.urban.org.
Thank you, bro.
I mean, basically just included that whites pay the most taxes and Asians. In the census study, they concluded that Hispanics and blacks were overrepresented per capita.
Overrepresented per capita for how much they take from taxes than what they give to the government in taxes.
And Asians would be deported as well, right? Because they're not full European.
At this point, I'm breathing more. I'm thinking critical, and I can ask the questions that I've been meaning to ask since the beginning of this debate.
You want me to give my deportation plan? When it comes to immigrants, obviously illegals have to go. And first, second, third gen. I cut it off right there. I put the boot down right there.
So what about mixed people?
What about them?
I mean, if you're like,
well, do they cluster with Europeans?
let's say, well, you said 99% European earlier, right? So what about 50% European? Because that might even be more of our population.
Well, it depends if they would cluster with European populations, but if someone's half white, half black, they probably wouldn't. They would cluster with some other group. So I wouldn't consider that white. I wouldn't consider that American. Mostly the black gene would probably take over.
The black in them. So what are you saying? Are you saying that like
After I heard him say that, I just had to ask the question, honestly.
black people are like genetically less than? Is it a race thing? Is it a, you know?
No, that's not what I said. I'm saying their gene is more dominant. Like, a mixed person, the black gene is probably going to be more dominant in them.
Yeah, they might be a little light skinned. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see. Well, do you really think that your plan would be able to sustain America? If we lost 70% of our, military jobs, 70% of America, and just slowly deport it over what's your plan? A span of like what, 10 years, 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to do 30, right? Because I don't believe that, I'm sorry about the noise. I don't believe that good things come from easy work. I believe the best things come from hard work. I don't think we should be shied away from things because it's hard or it's difficult or it makes us uncomfortable. How many people have been deported from 1920 to 2026? So waves of deportations, they can work. I think they totally can work, right?
I 100% agree. I do believe that waves of deportation can work. But do I believe that, this country would be able to sustain itself, that it would be able to sustain itself after 10 years of deporting 70% of its people? No. Because whenever you have 30% of people, well, who's going to be the farmers? Who's going to be the this? Who's going to be in the military? After all, we do have the strongest military, or the highest budget military in the world.
Isn't the military overrepresented with whites?
It might be. It probably is.
A lot of these jobs could be taken by like whites. It's not that I get what you're saying. That if we deport illegals and stuff like that, who's taking the jobs? The reason why a lot of white people aren't really taking those jobs is because they don't want to work for that pay. They don't think that it's worth it, right?
I agree.
When it comes to immigrants and like illegals and stuff like that, they can, they'll work for that pay because, back in their home country, they can't find jobs like that, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Even working here for the terrible pay, what is it, like $3 an hour? You're still...
No, $3? Holy shit.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing. Like, I agree. It's probably better here, even as an illegal, getting treated worse, or you're doing hard work for bullshit pay. I agree. They'd rather work here instead of in their home countries, and I don't believe that Americans would want to work those jobs. But what I am saying is that with such a big plot of land, even if we were to deport people over 3 decades, which what you said is 30 years, who would uphold these these massive borders we have? Who would continue to push our GDP in the right direction? China and Russia would come over and say, oh my God, these idiots. They just deported 70% of their country. We're going to come in and take their land, and now we're going to make, I don't know what you believe.
Immigrants don't benefit us, our GDP per capita. If like raw numbers, but like if they don't benefit our GDP per capita.
Not even on speaking on immigrants though, but speaking on black people like me that are legal in this country. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. Like our GDP and stuff like that would drop by 70%. We deport all the people. Oh no, if we did a white nationalist country and we deported everybody.
Oh, literally everybody? I'm not advocating for literally everybody to be deported.
Advocating for deporting everyone back to their home country besides Europeans?
Not literally everyone. I advocate for a very, very strong majority, right? Not literally every single person, literally every single soul.
How do you make that choice?
How do you make that choice? Like I said, like the whole immigrant example, illegals, and then first, second, third gen, right?
Oh, so first, second, third gen, and then also people that are 50% of other races besides European?
Wait, were you asking me that because you wanted me to see if I would deport them? If they go back longer, then no.
Well, if they go back to 4 generations?
Yeah, if they go back longer, then no.
What you're really saying is that their labor is needed.
Well, what's the point?
Now that right there, that paused me in my tracks. So what's the point? Well, Allow me to explain.
is that civic nationalism can work. It doesn't have to just be based on Europeanism, or a certain race. Because what you just told me is that if you have ancestry that isn't just of white, but of in this country and of the Constitution and of the law of America, then you can work as an American.
There'd be certain like restrictions. It'd be like I believe it's in a small minority.
Is he getting nervous? Because why are you adjusting your seat so much, buddy boy?
Because I believe about 90, I'd be even willing to do 85, right? 90, 85 white stronghold.
Why does it matter if they have 85% Europeanism for you? If you're willing to go back through generations and say, well, you have 25%, so it's okay. Well, what would make someone 25% different from someone with 35% or 45%?
Are you asking why they're racially different? Don't cluster genetically, so they're different.
And what does clustering genetically do? Like, why is that such a big thing with white nationalism? I don't understand.
Is he about to say it?
It just shows what kind of group you're in, right? Europeans, they cluster very closely. Jews cluster closely.
What, 30 years you said? You don't think that kicking out 70% of a country's population would cause it to collapse instead of focusing on the...
You think I'm going to kick them out and we're not going to have replacements. Yeah, what's to say that we don't incentivize whites with tax incentives to rise up their birth rate? What's to say we don't have other white immigrants come in?
So what you're saying is that you want to replace the other races with European immigrants?
If we're talking about in like the labor force, like, oh, we need new labor, we're going to have to give whites those jobs, yeah.
Why would you want to go through the process of kicking out the people that were already born American, already have their citizen birthrightship, might be a second or third or fourth generation, American, but to your standards doesn't fit 85% Europeanism, so you would rather kick them out and replace them with someone that has no birthright citizenship and has no American culture?
Well, that's a good question, because me and you disagree on what an American is. Could you properly define what an American is?
What an American is if you have birthright citizenship. I agree with the Constitution on that.
No, I fundamentally disagree with that. I say a European man or woman that has been born in this nation, immigrated, or naturalized. When we're controlling for immigration, we're controlling for non-whites.
No, but why is that though?
We have a right to preserve that.
It's because of
It all made sense. We have the right to preserve our white nationalism. Christ, I've heard it all.
And what's wrong with not preserving it?
What's wrong with not preserving it? We can look at the conditions we have right now. Multiculturalism doesn't work. If you want to go to the economy, they don't even benefit the economy per capita, right? I showed you that study of, black and brown people taking more from taxes, or no, not taxes, government assistance, and they pay in taxes. And if we want to take a look at a society that's homogenous, it creates the highest trust societies, creates the best conditions. I gave you Poland, for example. They were able to even get an amazing booming economy based off that as well.
Well, I do agree with strong, immigration laws and stuff like that. I definitely do not believe that illegal immigrants should be here. So me and you, we definitely do agree on that whenever it comes to that. But do I believe that the way to go about, some people taking more from taxes than they put in it is to just deport them? Am I going to blame 70% of the people in America for the falling economy, or am I going to blame our government for giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel and not, creating things in place for people to get high-paying jobs?
Why can't both be true?
Like a nail in my motherfucking tire. He had just stopped me right in my brakes.
Well, I guess it's in a sense one overpowers the other. Maybe one could be true, but what's the weight of one? We've got a parasite, sucking our president. He's controlling his moves. He's put us in this war in Iran. He's doing all these unconstitutional things and stuff like that. And does that hold the same value as, a group of individuals taking more than what they do put into taxes?
I am such a motherfucking beast, dude, because I couldn't disprove the fact that maybe black people do take more from taxes than what they give. I'm talking about, let me show y'all. I have a dual monitor, so in the process of me talking to this dude, you ever hear me typing? I'm either typing up notes on what he's telling me, or I'm asking ChatGPT. It's like, hey, is this really true? Allow me to disprove this dude in real time. So I might have not been able to disprove the fact that we take more, but what I can do is I can say, well, what are we going to focus on more?
Which one? In what terms? Just like bad conditions, with bad material conditions?
Which one's worse for the United States of America?
Oh, Israel or immigrants?
Yeah.
Well, I'd argue that the immigrants are a byproduct of, that control, right? So I'd say they're kind of one and the same.
They're one of the same. Why do you say that? Why do you believe
Because
that?
they're a byproduct of, heavy, I won't say that word, I'll say Israeli control in our government, right? I mean, I actually wanted to show you this. You know what Israel Aid is? So Israel Aid is a aid program made by Israel where they're helping transport refugees from war-torn countries into other countries. It's very clear what their agenda is. Destroy countries, blow them up, and then the people that need a new home, they go import them into other nations. And that's going to cause tons of issues like we just talked about.
At what point do you think
I meant to say Israel.
gained compromise over our government? Israel.
That's a tough one because, we could look back. The United States blessed Israel. We can say that. They probably have gained power way before that. So I would say it's unclear.
Oh,
I agree with
man.
you. Israel's bad. I agree with you. I totally agree with that. I think we should do another show where we just go deep on Israel and stuff like that because I think it's a good topic to talk about and
I would
stuff.
absolutely love to do that with you, dude. Honestly, I feel like me and you, we disagree on the nationalism thing because honestly, I believe that our declining economy is more than anything, it's a byproduct of, I guess, Israel's parasitic ways. With sucking billions of dollars out of our government over, many, many years, controlling our presidents. The Republicans and Democrats, they disagree on so many things, but they never disagree on funding the Israel. The overlooking of underfunded communities that fester crime, that fester people needing to take tax dollars to pay for their lives. I believe that if our community funded less into the military to go bomb and do these forever wars and stuff like that, if they actually put some of those billions of dollars back into our community, well then maybe we wouldn't have a declining economy. And me and you, we agree on a lot of stuff with the strong borders and things like that, because we can look at some real world examples where deportation and open borders and stuff like that have been wrong for some countries. So I believe in the strong constitution and in strong morals and values, but whenever it comes to upholding, I guess, more of a race than other race, I feel like that doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're all humans, and if we can all share the same moral code, well then I don't care if you're black, white, or blue. If we believe the same, it doesn't really matter to me.
We can talk about this next. You said we're all humans, so I'm assuming you have more, when it comes to race, you have more of an egalitarian mindset. Do you think all the races are equal? There's nothing different about us. It's just the only thing is just our melanin. If there's melanin in our skin.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about, if you want to dive deep into race science real quick, we can dive deep into.
Okay, yeah, mind me real quick, and we can pick this up more tomorrow. Maybe
Are you free
next
Saturday?
time. Am I free Saturday? Yeah, bro, I'm free.
Okay, I'm doing a collab on Friday with my Muslim friend. So.
Okay, bet.
Yeah, you also you bring up some good points too about the economy. I wanted to do more economic debates, so I appreciate that.
Definitely, dude. And you know what, Noah, right?
Yeah.
I really appreciate how respectful this was. Like me and you, we definitely, we definitely see things not maybe eye to eye, but what I feel like is important, me and you agree on. Israel definitely has had its fingers and its hooks into America for far too long. And as long as
I wish I would just shut the fuck up and give him a chance to speak, honestly.
I feel like as long as me and you can agree on what really matters, and me and you can work together on things like that, then man, everything else is like, out the door for me, honestly.
I'm so proud of myself.
Okay, well, if you want to do this more often, I'm definitely down to do this. I'm glad you actually accepted this because I challenge people all the time. They just tell me, no, I'm not giving you content. Or they're like, I'm not doing that. Who debates anymore? It's like, what?
Yes, bro. And I know some people in my Discord, they told me not to debate you and stuff like that, but I genuinely just wanted to see where your mind was at. Sometimes I see some of your clips. I honestly thought you were going to try to, rage bait me for some content, but this was definitely
when I do, actual debates, I'm very serious.
Yeah. Well, I know some people in the Discord that would love to debate you as well, so
sure,
I would love to
set something up with them.
Bro,
I'm busy for the whole rest of the week, though. But yeah, I'll definitely set something up with them. But the rage bait stuff and the humor, that's just to reel people in. Realistically, I'm just trying to reel people in.
You do. Yeah.
At this point, we was both just sweet talking each other, But look, y'all be blessed, man. Y'all stay up, like, and subscribe. If you watched this far, thanks, honestly.
W Debate, shout out to Reese. I like Reese. He's a good guy.